Hi folks, Keith Schweigert here with the Week 9 Halloween weekend edition of the Huddle's post-game recap. And I got to tell you, this week was just crazy town with some of the scores we've seen. In our 12 LL League games this week, 2 teams scored more than 70 points. Another one broke 60. 2 more broke 50. 2 others broke 40. And there were 2 that scored more than 35. With all that scoring, 3 section races and the district playoffs looming ahead, we've got a lot to cover, so let's get to it. We'll start with our game of the week, which was one of the few that was actually competitive. It was the Section 3 showdown between Lancaster Catholic and Donegal in Mount Joy, and it went down to the final minute. Brian Downey hit Andrew Kirkner for a 27-yard touchdown strike with 17 seconds left as the Crusaders won 21-14. The win moved Catholic into a first-place tie with Donegal in the section with 1 week left. Joining Catholic and Donegal in first place is Anvil Cleona, which dusted Pequay Valley 55-13 earlier tonight. The Little Dutchmen, who beat Catholic earlier this season, host Donegal next week in the regular season finale. The winner gets at least a share of the section crown, the loser is out. Catholic can clinch itself a share of the title with a win over Northern Lebanon next week. Speaking of Northern Lebanon, they knocked off Columbia 42-0 tonight. The Vikings are the defending section champs, but they're out of it this year. Rounding out Section 3, Elko dropped a 41-27 non-league decision to Muhlenberg this week. The Raiders fall to 4-5. Let's move on to Section 1, where Wilson did what Wilson always does, win titles. The Bulldogs drop-kicked Hempfield 38-7 to win their 63rd consecutive Section 1 game. They also clinched at least a share of their 9th straight section title. Iggy Reynoso had 191 rushing yards and a touchdown in the win for Wilson. Elsewhere, let's take a moment to salute Warwick. The Warriors probably won't be able to catch Wilson for the section crown, but they're having quite a season for themselves. They held off Conestoga Valley 51-29 tonight to improve to 7-2. Warwick's chances of making the District 3 Class 6A playoffs are looking pretty good. A win over McCaskey next week would wrap that up for them. In other Section 1 action tonight, Manheim Township stomped Lebanon 71-20 to set a school record for points in a single game. The Blue Streaks need to win out and hope for some outside help to make the 6A playoffs. And finally, McCaskey knocked off Penn Manor 27-12. 7 turnovers in the loss for the Comets. Finally, we turn to Section 2, where Manheim Central and Cocalico are still deadlocked in first place. Both put up some huge numbers tonight, too. The Barons just annihilated Solanco 78-26. It got ugly right from the start for Solanco. At one point, Central had run 9 offensive plays and scored 5 touchdowns. Cody Kegeries had 240 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns in the first half for Central, which entered the week at number 2 in the District 3 5A power rankings. Meanwhile, Cocalico hung half 100 in the first half against Ephrata and cruised to a 62-0 win. The Eagles came in ranked number 7 in 5A, so they'll be in the playoffs with a win at Solanco next week. Let's go to the only competitive game in the night in Section 2. That was in Lampeter, where Garden Spot won a 42-36 shootout with Lampeter Strasburg. Cam Roth hit Jerry Ringler for a touchdown with 42 seconds remaining to lift Garden Spot, which had to swat away a Hail Mary from LS in the end zone as time expired to secure the win. LS had rallied from a 29-14 deficit at halftime to tie the game at 36. And finally, in our last game of the night, Cedar Crest defeated Elizabethtown 27-0. That's going to do it for Week 9. Be sure to join me next week as we finish off the regular season and get you ready for the District 3 playoffs. Check out Lancaster Online for more details on this week's action and follow us on social media. I'm Keith Schweigert. Thanks for joining me and have a great weekend.